Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at Nekketsu Kakutou Densetsu for the Famicom, which translates to Hot-Blooded Fighting Legend. It was developed and published by Technos Japan and released in Japan only in 1992. It's part of the long-running Kunio-kun series that includes games like River City Ransom and Super Dodgeball, and it opens with the central character, Kunio-kun, finding a flyer left in his locker advertising a big martial arts tournament. And being the kind of guy that can't refuse a challenge, he throws his name into the ring. If you've played a lot of games by Technos Japan, then you'll see a lot of recognizable faces in this one, as they like to use a central cast of characters and settings in most of their games. To describe Kakutou Densetsu in one sentence, I'd say it's basically a 2-on-2 fighting version of River City Ransom, because it controls more or less the same. You create your own character, complete with a choice of different fighting styles, including Kung Fu and Judo. You choose a partner from the Kunio-kun cast of characters, and then you begin fighting your way through a bunch of other teams, trying to rack up as many wins as possible to move on to a final confrontation with the tournament's organizers. Like I said, it controls just like River City Ransom. The A and B buttons are for punching and kicking. Pressing them together does a jumping attack, and you can double tap in either direction to do some dash attacks. You actually can also do some super attacks in unison with your partner to do some extra damage, and when an opponent is defeated, they leave behind a health power-up. Each stage has a different setup with platforms to jump on, different kinds of terrain, and hazards to either avoid or use to your advantage, which I think was a great idea. It's a good way to add a little more depth to what's really a very simple fighting game that draws its controls from a beat-em-up. Another great aspect of Kakutou Densetsu that can really bring out the best in the gameplay is the multiplayer. Two people can play competitively or co-op, and even better, this is one of the few Famicom games to support up to 4 players, either in teams or a complete free-for-all. Kind of a precursor to Smash Brothers in a way. It's really hectic when it's every man for himself. Overall, I really like this game. It's not terribly deep, and there aren't a whole lot of 8-bit games you can compare it to, but it controls pretty well, and it's a lot of fun. It's not the best Kunio-kun game I've ever played, but it still maintains the Technos Japan high level of quality. Speaking of the Technos Japan level of quality, the graphics and sound design in Kakutou Densetsu are totally awesome and will definitely put a big smile on your face if you've loved games like River City Ransom and Crash and the Boys Street Challenge. The characters have the same classic look that you'll find in Technos' other 8-bit Kunio games, and that's a good thing. I really like their design and over-exaggerated facial expressions. And the character animations in this game are really smooth too. There is some flicker here and there, but it's nothing I found that bothersome. The stages also look great. Lots of detail, lots of color, and they play into each match as well, so I really like the visuals here. The soundtrack, as usual, is outstanding. To this day, I have never played a Technos Japan game that didn't have an above-average soundtrack, and this one's no different. Lots of high-tempo, exciting songs with a great chiptune sound that makes the most of the Famicom sound chip. Admittedly, most Techno games have music that's interchangeable with the others. The songs here would also work just fine in Super Dodgeball or Nintendo World Cup, but the fact still stands. They sound amazing. On the whole, this is another in a long line of awesome 8-bit games with great graphics, great sound, and ultra fun gameplay. So this is a really good game that I can easily recommend to retro gamers, especially if you're a fan of Technos Japan's other Famicom/NES games, because it's right up there with the best of them. And good news, it's pretty affordable these days. Copies can be found on eBay, loose and complete, for between $15 and around $35, so it won't break the bank if you decide you want a copy for yourself. If you've played all of the other 8-bit Kunio-kun games, or at least all of the NES ports, and you just can't get enough, then go ahead. Spring for a copy of Nekketsu Kakutou Densetsu. You'll be glad you did.